cry, sleep too much, even experience eating issues. These aren't just side effects of being a typical teen. According to a new study, it's an increased side effects for teens taking the birth control pill. So JAMA found that those teenagers who took the pill are also more likely to be depressed as an adult than a teen who doesn't take it. So I want to bring in Dr. Suzanne Gilbert-Lentz. She's an OBGYN. Doctor, why isn't this just a crying teen who's emotional because of teenage angst?
Well, that's an amazing, good question, because we don't really know based on the results of this study. The study is actually very important. The good things about the study is that it's a long-term study. There's a large number of people. It's not gold standard in medical data, what we call the gold standard in studies. I'm not going to go into that. However, it's also not clear if these young women and girls were girls that were already having some mental health issues. That actually wasn't looked at. But it's definitely something that we need to be concerned about and thinking about.
Well, it was interesting because they did say in the study that some of these girls may have started taking the pill to treat depressive issues. We know a lot of teens actually take this to lessen the pain of cramps and things like that. But you got to ask, do you think it's safe?
Well, that's also an excellent question and very on point. Here's the situation. To think that we're going to have a one-size-fits-all answer for every woman and girl is really not real. And the way medical science is conducted, we have to try to make the study population as diverse as possible, but also as focused as possible in terms of what outcomes we're looking at. So I think the main takeaway here is that we need to be a lot more careful about how we're identifying who we're going to start on any medication, especially hormones, especially as a young person, because everybody is not the same. Everybody's not going to respond the same way. And we're finally, many, many, many decades into using birth control widely, really starting to address these concerns and these issues. I don't want people to freak out that they're on birth control or that their kid is on birth control, but I also don't want them to not ask important questions. And this is why it's so important to have good communication with your doctor, with your provider, about what are your goals, why are you doing this, what are the potential side effects, and checking in frequently about how the response is proceeding. There are definite medical indications for being on the pill. You mentioned one. Endometriosis is another. You know, there are medical reasons to be on the pill. Certainly pregnancy prevention. I mean, most 16-year-olds do not want to be pregnant. But to assume that it's going to have the same effect, positive or negative, on everybody is ridiculous.
Yeah, the one thing to point out, though, and this would be to you and how you would advise somebody who's a teen that wants to go on birth control. I mean, obviously, this isn't protecting from so many other things that they need to be concerned about if they are sexually active, obviously.
Correct.
So when somebody comes in, do you say, maybe this isn't for you at this age? This is for somebody who's older in a committed relationship and long-term relationship?
I mean, this is a very multi-layered conversation, and there are other very effective birth control methods. I mean, in a responsible user, barrier methods like condoms or diaphragms are awesome. Usually a 16-year-old is not the right population for that. Intrauterine devices are increasing in popularity, partly for this reason, because depending on what kind you use, you may not have a systemic hormonal effect, and also it's kind of impossible to use it improperly. You know what I mean? So for a teenager to take a pill every day, it doesn't always work that well. But I'll be honest with you, I've been doing this 20 years, and I'd say the majority of my teenagers, when I bring up anything other than birth control, you know, their eyes roll into the back of their head, because they're not gonna tolerate an IUD. So I think, again, it's 1,000% about education, support, and communication. This is why it is so important to be seeing your doctor, and your doctor to be following up with you. How are you doing? You know, I might start you on the pill and it's really not working out. So you're going to have to come back in and we'll regroup.
Dr. Suzanne Gilbert-Lentz, thanks for being here. Always good to have you.
Always great to be here, Lynn.